Are you trying to have a deep dialogue with someone, maybe to persuade them of something or just connect or provide them some information? And despite the listening, you've tried active listening, tried some other things, something still isn't working. Well, it might be time to try some neuro-linguistic programming, or called NLP. Now, I want to emphasize, NLP is not about mind control. We're not trying to do anything disintegrous or engage in subterfuge. But we are trying to connect on a deep level so that we come on as a friend, as a colleague who's trying to convey something or persuade something. Now, there's a lot of research on NLP. I'll go over a few tips here that will at least get you started. So one of them is mirroring and matching. Now what that means is that we mirror the other person visually with their gestures. So for instance, let's say we're talking to them and they bring their hands to their face, or all of a sudden they're putting their hair back or scratching their head. Not immediately and not in a stiff or obvious way, but then we might also at some point, maybe we'll bring a hand up, or maybe we'll touch our ear. The goal is to somehow, on a brainstem level, mirror the other person's gestures. And what NLP research has shown is that the brain recognizes that as a pattern and does a pattern match. And then if we're matching, then it will assign basically safety, or this person's a colleague, this person's a friend. And while I don't know all the science, I believe it goes back to survival instinct, where we had to recognize threats very quickly or we'd be eaten by the lion or the bear. So mirroring is where it's as if we had a mirror there, and if they raise their right hand, okay, then we would then raise our left if we're facing them. That way it's as if they're looking in a mirror. Matching is simply matching it. Maybe it's a mirroring, maybe it's if they raise their left hand, maybe we just raise our left hand. And okay, it might look like the opposite hand, but it still triggers that NLP brainstem activity to where we convey that we're on the same page with them. So that's what mirroring and matching is. There are lots of other aspects to NLP. We'll have some other tips to describe that. But just try that. If you have a tough conversation, try some mirroring and matching. See if that at least brings rapport, okay, which is what we're going for, rapport. And then see if that just opens up a little bit more of the dialogue, where even if you disagree on the technical point, that at least it's a conversation between equals, between colleagues, and you might find it just ratchets down the conflict just that little bit. So that could also go for gestures. The final tip, if they move their arms like this, or let's say they have their arms crossed or something, that might not mean closed off, but that's another opportunity for us to just slightly cross our arms and then maybe move back to here. Eventually, if we get good at that, we'll be able to pace, and that'll be in the next tip. But pacing is when we actually lead with the gesture and then they follow suit, because we've got that deep, again, brainstem level connection thanks to NLP. Comment below if you're familiar with NLP, if you're a trainer, if you want to know more about it or want some references. Leave a comment or direct message me, and we'll be in dialogue, and hopefully I can help you out. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next tip.